Welcome to Brier's Music Showcase. I'm Bryer Cisneros and welcome back to another video. And in this one, I'm continuing my 70s series, and now we are up to 1976. So for those who don't know, in this series, I go through every year of the 1970s and name my top 5 favorite albums. And of course, as a caveat, I'm only restricted to what I have in my collection. So I think I've said in the past that 1976 was my favorite year when it comes to music. Not sure if that's still true though. I have to think of that over again, but still, regardless, 1976, yeah, I said that right, is still a terrific year. Just so many great albums that come out. Again, this is all just my opinion, and I know there's going to be some albums I'm going to leave out, but that's where you guys come in. Of course, in the comments, let me know some of your favorite albums from 1976. And it's hard to believe we're way over halfway done with the series, so we are nearly there. But without further ado, let's begin. Starting off with number 5, here's an album I'm pretty sure will rank a bit higher for some people, but it still made the top 5, and it's an iconic album, so I couldn't leave it off. So that album in question is Hotel California. I mean, come on, what has not been said about this album? It's one of the most recognizable albums in rock. I mean, there's so many iconic songs on here. Of course, the title track goes without saying. I mean, I've heard this song so many times growing up, and I guess that's kind of partly why it's number 5. It's because I'm so familiar with this album that, I mean, it's part of my DNA that I don't necessarily need to always go back to this album, but it's still a wonderful, wonderful listen all the way through. So I already mentioned the title track. It's one of Don Henley's most iconic vocal performances. And of course, you have the guitar solo at the very end. So let me just look at the track listing real quick, just so I remember. I have to look inside, of course. Actually, let me just look at the record itself. So you have The New Kid in Town, which is, of course, Glenn Frey on vocals on that one. Then you have another pretty great rock song by them. You have Life in the Fast Lane, another great Don Henley vocal. Yeah, he put a lot of grit into that one. That's really good. Then you have the ballad Wasted Time, which is a wonderful piano ballad. Yeah, I'm a sucker for ballads, of course. Then you have Side 2, which you have the reprise, which, you know, I kind of get in the context of the record, but, you know, kind of wish it wasn't back to back, you know. But then from there, let me just hold on a sec. Let me just see one little thing. Again, the track listing is not on the actual record. Here we go. Then you have Victim of Love, another great rock song by them. Then you have Pretty Mates All in a Row, which is a Joe Walsh song, which is, you know, some people say they don't want to hear Joe Walsh do a ballad, but for me, I think he sounds great. I think it's a great, wonderful song for him. Then you have Try and Love Again, which is, you know, Randy Meisner's song. Rest in peace to him. A great song for him. A great song, really underrated in my opinion. And you know, this would be the last album with Randy in the band before he would leave. But yeah, I think he went out on a good note on this album. And then you have the final song, which is, of course, The Last Resort, which is a lovely, lovely way to close out the album. A great song to just really wrap it all up. But yeah, top to bottom, it is fantastic. So with that in mind, let's go over to here. Let's look at the record much closer. So here is the album sleeve. Of course, we know this album cover. This is supposed to be the Beverly Hills Hotel in Los Angeles. Apparently, when the hotel found out about this, they weren't very happy because I don't think they asked permission for this, but still an iconic shot. Of course, you have the Hotel California in the neon lights there, which is very nice, very cool. Then you have the back, which just shows the hotel itself. There's a little janitor right there. And then you open it up, you have the gatefold. Hopefully you can see. I'll show it over here just in case. But yeah, you have the band right in the center here. Then you have all these people, which was a bunch of people they knew. And then on the very top right there, I've shown this before, but there's a little unknown figure there. People have no idea what that's supposed to be. So I'll do it over here just so, again, you can have a better view. Well, not a great view, but let me just go ahead, hopefully right there. Maybe you can make it out, but still, yeah, love the presentation in here. And on the side, you just have the lyrics to the title track, which, you know, kind of a shame they don't do it for the rest of the songs, but, you know, I'm pretty sure they knew that Hotel California was going to be something special. So that is the outer sleeve. So this particular album that I got, and I did unbox this in the past, by the way, it did come with a lot good other stuff as well. So it came with the original inner sleeve, which you have. Again, you have the Hotel California thing right there. Then you have all the credits down there. And on the back, you have the track listing and the credits to each song right there. Very cool. And another very cool thing is that it actually came with the original poster. So let me just show what that looks like. So here it is. So I'll just come across here. Just a nice little shot of the band right there. Again, let me do it over here so you have a better shot, just in case, a better angle. It's not perfect, there's a little hole there, but for the most part, it looks in pretty good shape. So yeah, very happy to find this. And then of course, let me just showcase the record itself. I'm just gonna take it out of the sleeve real quick. So here it is. So here's side one, right there. Hopefully you can see that. Then on the back, of course, you have side two, right there. All right, so awesome presentation, I must say. So now I'm going to quickly shift over because I do have this on CD, and we're going to quickly go through that as well. So here it is. This is the one I've had for quite a long time. So yeah, so there's front, there's the back. Again, very similar to the record. Let's take it out. Here's the disc itself. Not much to say. It's pretty standard. It just gives you all the tracks right there. And the booklet here in the back, again, pretty much like the record. Actually, let me see something real quick. So what's interesting is that the back cover has the gatefold here, but what's kind of disappointing is that weird devil thing is blocked by the barcode. That's kind of disappointing. Anyhow, so open it up. Yeah, it's pretty standard again. And here on the inside, you actually have the poster that I showed earlier, right there. Then you just have the lyrics to the title track. Again, kind of wish they've done the other songs, but you get what you get. All right, so let me just put this back. So there you have it. So that is my number 5 for 1976. Moving on to my number 4. Here is my favorite album of this band. It's a great blend of jazz, rock, funk even. The album I'm talking about is Steely Dan with The Royal Scam. Like I just said, it's my favorite Steely Dan album. I mean, I just love pretty much all the songs on here. Again, like I mentioned, it just blends everything they've been working on. You know, you have the jazz, you have some rock, you have some funk even, a little bit of blues as well. You can argue that Asia or some of the earlier albums are better, but this has always been my favorite. I can't really explain, but there's a certain attitude or mood with this album that I always like a lot. So yeah, it's my favorite, and I love the album cover too. It's probably my favorite of their album covers, if I'm going to be honest. Again, kind of dark, kind of sinister. You have these like predators, these buildings morphing into predators, and then you have this little homeless guy down here, kind of down his luck. Yeah, very, very interesting, very cool. So let me just go through the track listing. So you have Kid Charlemagne, which of course is one of their classics, and I absolutely love that opening song. Then you have The Cave of Altamira, great follow-up song. Don't Take Me Alive's great. Sign In Stranger. And then you have The Fez, which is probably my favorite song on the album. Was one of my favorite songs on the album, I should say. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty repetitive for the most part, but again, I just don't get tired of it. I just love the bass line to it. Absolutely great, very catchy. I love it. Green Earrings is really good. And Haitian Divorce, hopefully I said that right. Everything You Did, and then it closes off with the title track, which is just another one of my all-time favorite Steely Dan songs. Just a great, dark, moody, very sinister sounding, and to me it just perfectly sums up the album cover. Yeah, because it's about Puerto Rican immigrants just having a hard time in America when they came, and it just pretty much sums this image up to me. So yeah, I mean, top to bottom, it is a perfect album in my opinion. So let's come over here, by the way, and let's go ahead and let's take a closer look. So let me just take it out of the sleeve. So again, you got a good view of it, but on the back, you pretty much have it's pretty much a close up of his shoes down here, which is kind of interesting. It's that's why it's kind of pixelated and blurry, but I guess that's the point. You have the track listing listed up here. Then on the corner here, you just have all the credits here, who played on what, who were the players, of course. I mean, you have big names like Chuck Rainey. Let's see, you have Bernard Purdie, of course. Gary Coleman, a lot of horns on here. Gary Colton, of course, just to name a few. Dennis Diaz. Yeah, just so many people on here. This is when they were really starting to become a studio band rather than a typical band. They decided not to play live. But there you go. That's the outer sleeve. Alright, by the way, shout out to Garrett from Soundless Studios for sending me this. I did an unboxing of this one as well. Okay, next, it did come with this little sleeve here, but of course it did come with this as well, which has all the lyrics to it. And on the back you have a little photo right there. You have a kind of a, don't know what, I forgot what it's called, like a kaleidoscope thing. You have Walter right there, then you have Donald on the corners there. Kind of interesting. And then we have the record itself. I'm not going to take it out because it's kind of the same on both sides, but it's on the MCA label. So there you go. Hopefully you get a good view of that. And now we shift back over here. Let's go over the CD packaging. So here it is, just a smaller version. And I think, I don't know, let me just look at it real quick. At least on my copy, I don't know it because this one's a bit older, so it might be a bit faded, but of course, this one's a bit more purple. This one is a bit more blue. At least to me, at least. But again, it might be because of the age of this. But regardless, so here it is. The front and the back are the same thing. So we open it up. Let me just see. Okay, there's nothing inside, but the disc is actually kind of nice. I actually like the font they chose for the label. Oop, there we go. I kind of like the look of that. But yeah, it gives you the track listing on the very bottom. All right. Then for pretty much all the Steely Dan CDs I have, they don't really have a booklet. It just folds out like so. It does come with the image that I showed in the inner sleeve earlier, but here you have the top. And here on this one, just gives you some history on what was going on at the time. Always nice to read those. And on the back, you just have all the lyrics right here and all the credits. All right, not much to say, but yeah, again, it's good to have this album on both vinyl and record. So other than that, that is my number 4 for 1976. Now we move on to my number 3, and the album I chose is A Trick of the Tail by Genesis. It's been a bit since Genesis has made the list. They've made the honorable mention part, but it's been a bit since they've been in the actual top 5. So yeah, I ranked the Genesis albums a long time ago, and I think I have this one as my second favorite. And yeah, it hasn't really changed since then. I still absolutely adore this album by them. Of course, what's notable about this album is that it's the first album to have Phil Collins on lead vocals. So Peter Gabriel's out of the band. After like months of trying to find a replacement, they ultimately decided that, hey, Phil, come and take the lead vocals. And of course Phil was kind of like, I don't want to leave the drums, but of course he would go on anyway. And yeah, so yeah, love the, pretty much, well, I don't love, but I do like the album cover. It's kind of nice. But as I was saying, let me go through the track listing first before we get into the actual packaging. But starts out with Dance on a Volcano. Really great opening track. A lot of good switch ups and good drumming, of course. By this point, Phil, he hasn't quite found that unique voice to him. He's still kind of trying to do the things that Peter was doing, like having different character voices and stuff like that. But still, he's still very good. But after Dance on the Volcano, you have Entangled, which is a pretty Steve Hackett led track because it's very acoustic heavy. It's kind of a more atmospheric, very kind of puts you in a trance almost, you're put in this dreamlike state almost. But yeah, Phil sounds good on it, and the keyboard solo at the very end is very haunting, very brooding. Great work by Tony Banks. Then you have Squonk, which was, according to Phil, because I read his autobiography before, and he said that Squonk is basically was supposed to be like his Led Zeppelin type song, trying to be like the Levee Breaks or Kashmir or something like that on that line. And yeah, it's a great one. Then you have Madman Moon. I think that's a Tony Banks song. Very solid, very good. Not a whole lot to say. Then you have Robbery, Assault, and Battery, which is just this big, like, this is supposed to be like Phil's like big character song. He's putting on different voices, but it's a fun song. It has probably some of my favorite Phil Collins drumming. Just so cool, especially during that breakdown in the middle. Like, it's, if you know, you know. Then you have Ripples, which is kind of the biggest ballad on here. And yeah, it's this big lush song. Is just like, yeah, it's so good. The title track is a nice little kind of a more cooler song. Then you have the instrumental track Los Endos, which of course is a very cool instrumental. I know I'm not the hugest instrumental fan, but Los Endos is pretty good. I do like that one. But yeah, so yeah, now let's go over the packaging in this CD. This is a 2007 digital remaster and stereo mix. Sound very good to my ears. So take out the disc. They do replicate the original Mad Hatter label. Mad Hatter is not the name of the record company, but that's what I like to call it because you have the Mad Hatter on top. Then let me just show you the inside. The little design right there. Take out the booklet. So you open it up, you have the lyrics, and you have these nice little, like, I guess, pencil sketches. Very nice. And I believe these are kind of replicating what was on the original record. I don't have the record, obviously, so I can't really verify. Almost there. Then you have all the credits and all that stuff. All right, so there you have it. So that is my number 3. Moving on to my number 2. Now this might surprise some people, especially those who may know me. Number 2 is going to be Queen, A Day at the Races. Some of you thought this was going to be my number 1, huh? Well, joke's on you. It's number 2. But still, I absolutely love this album. So of course this is the follow-up to A Night at the Opera from the previous year. And yeah, this was a really good follow-up in my opinion. I hear some people say it's not as good, but I still think it's terrific on its own. It's kind of like the brother-sister those two albums, Night of the Opera. You know, Night of the Opera is a white album, then you have this one where it's black, and it's the exact same cover, basically, the same crest. Just the name's different, and they're both named after Marx Brother films. So, yeah, but still very nice. There's the back. So he starts out with Tie Your Mother Down, just a great opening track. You have a nice, good slow build up, and then again you have the great Brian May guitar riff, just killer stuff. Then from then it kind of goes 180 on it goes like a 180 on you, and then you Take My Breath Away, which is just this nice slow Freddie Mercury piano ballad, and it's just pretty much him the whole time. Just, yeah, not much to say there, just fantastic. Long Away, which is Brian May on the lead vocals, and I think he does a very good job. Great, very solid song. Then you got The Millionaire Waltz, which again, it's one of my favorite Queen songs, one of my favorite deep cuts by them. Again, all these different changes. I love the piano and bass intro by Freddie and John. One of my favorite moments on a Queen song is just that intro. Then he just carries on this waltzy feel, but then it switches up. You have it kind of slows down, then it picks up into a just big rock section, and then it goes back to like the more waltzy feel. Yeah, it's very cool. Then you have You and I, a John song, and great one by him. Then you have Somebody to Love, which of course it's a classic. It's also one of my favorite Queen songs. So yeah, goes without saying. White Man, pretty underrated, very cool deep cuts. Yeah, very nice. Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy, you know, kind of a more, kind of a jolly, kind of a very upbeat, kind of poppy sort of song, but I love it. I love how campy it is. I love the camp. Some people say they don't like Queen because they might be a bit campy, but for me, the campier, the better. So yeah, I love it. Then you have Drowse, which is probably a very underrated song. One of my favorite songs by Roger Taylor. I really liked his vocal on here. It's very nice, very cool. And then to close it out, you have Deo Torialte. I butchered that, but it's Japanese for Let Us Cling Together. And it's a song dedicated to their Japanese fans. And yeah, I like Japanese stuff, so cool. So yeah, and it pretty much bookends the album. It kind of goes full circle where you have that same slow build up you have on Tie Your Mother Down, and then it ends with that slow build up, or I guess in this case it kind of builds down. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, but top to bottom, it's a really good album, very strong follow-up to what many would consider their magnum opus. So yeah, let's go over the packaging. So this is also a 2011 remaster. It says so on the top there. So you open it up. So here's the disc. Then take it out. Basically have a bigger crest there. This is one I also want to try. I want to try and get this on vinyl someday. I think I mentioned it before, but I'm trying to get all the Queen albums on vinyl. It's gonna take a bit, but we'll get there. So yeah, some photos of the band, kind of Let It Be-esque, I must say. Then you have all the lyrics. Here's a nice little live shot. My guess is that they're doing 39. And last page, and then another pretty nice live shot there. All right, so that is my number 2. But of course, before we move on to number 1, let's showcase some honorable mentions. And for my number 1 favorite album of 1976, some of you may know it, some of you may not. Still, it's a terrific album. So the album is called Rising and is by the band Rainbow. So, for those who don't know what Rainbow is, so of course, hopefully a lot of you know Deep Purple, and of course, you have to mention Ritchie Blackmore, who was the lead guitarist for Deep Purple. So in around 1974 or 75-ish, of course, Ritchie was kind of disillusioned by what Deep Purple was becoming, so he decided to leave and form his own band. And Rainbow was the name of the band. This is their second album, by the way. So their first album, which came out in 75, which is pretty solid. This one came in, and yeah, this is pretty much their best album in my opinion. So you have very notable people. Of course, I mentioned Ritchie Blackmore, of course. You have Cozy Powell on drums. Great drummer, of course. He's played on many albums. Jimmy Bain on bass. Then you have Tony Carey on, hopefully I said that right, Tony Carey on keyboards. And last, but certainly not least, you have Ronnie James Dio on lead vocals here. And that's just a killer lineup right there. So it starts out with Tear It Woman, which starts with this kind of very, it kind of takes a bit to get going, where you have this keyboard intro, but then you start to hear the guitar start to come in, and then finally, bam, you're in, and you have Ritchie just giving this killer guitar riff, and the whole band is just kicking, and again, Cozy Powell is just great drummer, and of course, Ronnie James Dio. I mean, Ronnie James Dio is probably one of the most recognizable, one of the most beloved hard rock, heavy metal singers. Just a great voice, just a great big sound, even though he's reportedly a short person, but still. Yeah, great opening song. Then you have Run with the Wolf. Kind of a more mid-tempo, but still very driving rhythm, good guitar riff, of course. Then the third song, you have Starstruck, which is probably the most commercial sounding song on the album. Just a very catchy sort of melody to it. But yeah, it's just very catchy, and I always liked it. Not many people talk about it. And then the fourth song, which is the last song on side one, by the way. There's only 6 songs. I should probably mention that. There's only 6 songs, but yeah. Then the side one closes out with "Do You Close Your Eyes," which some people say that's probably the weakest song on the album, which I wouldn't argue with that, but still, I still quite enjoy it quite a bit. Still, it's not even that long. It's like less than 3 minutes. But then side 2 comes in, and this is kind of why this album is number 1. So the 5th song, Stargazer, that's pretty much this band's magnum opus. It's just pretty much has Ronnie James Dio's best vocal performance ever, just telling you this grand story. And then you have the killer riff, like yeah, just a very awesome. It's like 8.5 minutes, but still, there's so many great moments on here, like Ritchie's guitar solo, which has kind of has a medieval, not medieval, but Middle Eastern flair, I meant to say, which is very cool. Always bringing those like different elements on the album. Yeah, and my favorite moment is definitely the closing, when kind of the crescendo, or shall we say, or the ending, where it just keeps building. You hear the strings really swelling in, and Ronnie's just giving it all. Just sends goosebumps to me. So yeah, absolutely love it. It goes without saying, it's my favorite song on the album. But the last song, "A Light in the Black," is also very good as well. Just another terrific, very heavy, very heavy song. Again, a lot of great moments on here throughout, and just a perfect way to close out the album. But yeah, and the album cover is very cool too. Like, look at that. You have the hand just grabbing a rainbow. Look at that. That's pretty cool. You cannot convince me otherwise. But yeah, love it. So now let's go over the packaging. So open it up. There's the disc here. Pretty nice, classy. And you open it up, it's pretty much an ad of other Rainbow albums. Pretty much has a good chunk of the catalog. The only Ronnie James Dio era album I need is this one, but I pretty much have a good chunk of it. I have Down to Earth, I have Straight Between the Eyes, and Bent Out of Shape. But yeah, very nice. There's not much to say on the booklet. It's mostly just a pamphlet mainly. So there's the front again, there's the back, just pretty much the same as this back here. And you just open it up. Let me see. Okay, so it's kind of similar with Hotel California, where they have the lyrics to one song on the side here. And then you have a big photo here. This is the band photo. Of course, there's Ronnie in the center. There's Cozy right there. And there's Richie there. So yeah, and then, yeah, not much to say really. It's pretty bare bone, but you know, it's whatever. But yeah, that is my favorite album of 1976. Of course, like I mentioned in every episode, of course, there are many other albums that I have missed. So that's where you people come in. So in the comments below, again, let me know some of your favorite albums of 1976. Leave them in the comments. I always look forward to reading those. Again, if you enjoy this video and this series, please give this a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Again, I have social medias, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Those are in the description below. As always, until then, I'll see you in the next video. So take care and goodbye for now.